it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you and yours. Subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing disgusting things heterosexuals say to asexuals and difficult conversations we're going to be talking about. First of all, if you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives. 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity book. It's Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month right now, and that's to celebrate our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it, just like the book. So I'm going to read a couple of passages from the book, and we're going to start talking about difficult conversations and things we are disgusting. I have to give you a trigger warning because this is going to get pretty disgusting in a few moments. So first of all, I'm just going to start off by reading something from Asexual Perspectives book. This is Zoe's story on page 163. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? Most of my uncomfortable moments when someone asks me about my personal status, are you married? Do you have a boyfriend? And feels awkward when I reply no. They've no idea how to continue the conversation with someone who is out of their comfort zone, i.e., not fitting the normal mold. That makes me uncomfortable, and I or they usually just end up walking away. Yes, I've noticed this a lot with heterosexuals, that if they're not comfortable with your asexuality, they find it hard to continue conversations with you, and they'll try and bury what you're talking about. And they kind of put up a shield by going, oh, you're labeling yourself. Oh, chat. Let's go to Anarch. Hi, sorry for missing some of the past streams. My sleep schedule has been whack. Unfortunately, I can't stay long because I'm helping my dad cook dinner soon. Oh, yeah, we're all on different timetables, aren't we? I'm in the UK, so it's like 41 minutes past midnight here. But yes, it's really nice to see you. I always appreciate you. Always appreciate support. So, to continue with Zoe's story, during events geared more towards couples, Christmas party at your workplace when spouses are invited to accompany you, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve when everybody or everyone seems to have someone to kiss, going on holidays solo, going to restaurants solo, going to the theatre solo. These seem to make my weirdness all the more apparent, which makes me uncomfortable, which is why I rarely do these things. Now, I'm very opposite to Zoe because I do a lot of self-dating and I absolutely love it. And I don't get any bad reactions usually from people. And probably that's because I'm super confident in doing them. To me, it's a very natural thing to do to date myself. And so I take myself out to the cinema, out for meals. I have been to the theatre on my own. I've got a Disney on Ice show booked for November, for example, 24th of November. That's or 24th or 23rd of November, I think it is. Yeah, that's, already going to happen. I took myself to Disneyland Paris for a whole holiday for my birthday, it's a belated birthday present for myself this year. And I have absolutely no problem whatsoever in going out and dating myself. I've trained myself to be very attracted to myself these days. So I'm like dating a hot girl, just me. I'm not attracted to women. Like, yes, I'm a woman. I'm attracted to myself, but I'm not attracted to other women. Like, just me because I just like being with me. I like spending time with me because I like my personality as well. And I think it's really good when you can get to that stage where you love yourself so much that you adore spending time with yourself, And I'm so comfortable and it's so natural for me to be on my own in multiple places that no one usually bats an eyelid. In fact, people are like, oh yeah, table for one or more this time, like so used to me going there by myself, for example, in Nando's. So it's not weird. Like it's just normal to me. And I see other people in Nando's eating on their own, guys, for example. So other people eat out as well on their own. And anyway, Zoe said, as a final thing, refusing to date men. If someone tells me they have the perfect guy for me and can they set me up a blind date, they always end up looking at me as if I sprouted two heads when I answer no. Them, what do you mean no? I thought you weren't seeing anyone. Me, I'm not. Them, then why don't you want to want this blind date? Me, because I don't feel like it. Then why not? People just don't get how a woman could not want to date a man nor be part of a couple with a man. And I think, yeah, that's so important. Like, I'm hugely romantic, and so I would like a romantic relationship with the right guy. Having said that, it's very difficult because on the dating scene, there's a lot of wrong guys out there, a lot of liars, which I'll be talking about even more soon. So yeah, I think it's good if you don't want to be in a couple and you want to stay single forever, because it's a lot damn easy that way, in if that's what you want and desire. So Cassie's story, Asexual Perspectives 389, page 389. Asexual Perspectives is this book here, by the way. Grab yourself a copy on Amazon if you haven't already got one. You'll love it. So yes, as far as intrusive questions go, sometimes acquaintances learn of my asexuality and take it upon themselves to question me on whether I've dated, had sex, and upon learning that the answers are yes, claim that my partners just didn't do a good job, so I should try someone else. I hate this, like, just because you've had sex doesn't mean to say you're not asexual. I had a video call with a guy a few days ago, and I told him I had had sex in the past. Like, it's basically been 12 years, like in October this year, since I last had sex, because we're in 2023 now. And I said it was a good experience. He's like, oh, well, you can't be asexual then. And it's like, because he's had sex and and he said he was asexual. He said he didn't feel anything, And so just because I felt all the bodily sensations, I still felt sex, doesn't mean to say I'm not asexual, And I get absolutely fed up with this myth that asexuality is to do with the fact you haven't had good sex. If you have a bad sexual experience, it's not the same as being asexual. Asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction. This means I don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse at all, ever. Right? It doesn't mean to say that I can't have a good sexual experience. It just means I don't look at a guy and think I want sex, and I don't get those needs. I don't get the urge. I don't get the want to do that. Right? So there's this huge myth. And I get absolutely fed up with it, because if I just said to that guy, oh, well, no, the sex was really bad and I hated it, he'll be like, oh, well, that's why you don't like sex then. You're not really asexual, you just had a bad sexual experience. But because I said it was a good experience, then he's saying, oh, I'm asexual. I am asexual, 100%. I can kiss for like hours and never want sex. That's very asexual. Not very asexual in the sense that of the kissing lots, because people usually are asexual don't like a lot of kissing. It's very asexual in the sense I don't experience any arousal enough to make me want to kiss. I can't experience arousal, but the arousal doesn't make me want. Sorry, I should rephrase that. I experience arousal sometimes through kissing. I experience excitement for kissing. I experience arousal sometimes after I kissed or just thinking about with no one involved. But what I'm trying to say is I don't experience arousal that makes me want to have sex. It doesn't compute that way for me. It either makes me feel like I want to do stuff to myself, like masturbate myself, or it makes me just excitable in the moment, and that's it. I don't think about having sex, it's not what I'm about. I don't have that mindset. I'm not that wired that way. It's because I'm asexual. So, he said, people also ask whether or not I masturbate ever, as if it's any other business what I do or do not do with my body. And if that has any connection with me finding anyone sexually attractive or not. Yeah. If you masturbate, it doesn't mean to say that you find other people sexually attractive and you want sex. People who masturbate are sexually pleasuring themselves with no one else involved. And usually for asexuals, that's the best type of physical intimacy to that degree, is doing that with themselves. Like some asexuals, they don't even want to do any masturbation. They think it's absolutely disgusting and hate it. They don't want to touch their own body. They don't want to feel aroused. They don't want any of that stuff. Right? But it's none of anyone else's business if you masturbate or not. And if you masturbate, that's pleasuring yourself. That's not going and having sex with someone else. Like, God gave you two hands, usually. Most people have got two hands to use how they want. If they want to pleasure themselves, that's up to them. I think that's an act of self-love. It's got sweet FA to do with having to have sex with someone or forcing yourself to have sex with someone or being sexually attracted. Yes, some people are sexually attracted to people and they want to have sex because of that. And if their relief of sexual fluids is not in that moment, then they want to masturbate to get rid of that thing, get rid of the arousal feeling, get rid of the sexual attraction feeling. But with asexuals, usually the sexual attraction isn't aimed at anyone if they're a pure asexual. If they don't have sexual attraction towards anyone, I'm trying to say. If they have arousal, it's not aimed at anyone, right? I hope you understand that. Anyway, if you don't, just ask me any questions you like in chat. So, they also said, like, so he's been asked, like, what my parents did when they found out, like, they were supposed to do something, and whether or not I've been to a doctor, psychiatrist, had myself checked out. All of these are both intrusive and highly annoying, as well as the implication that if I don't find anyone sexually attractive, I must be ill one way or another. Orlando, happy Pride Month. Oh, Orlando, thank you for saying that. Pride Month was actually in June, and July is Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. I don't know if you knew that. So Pride Month is always take place in June, and then I do Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month the month after that. But happy Pride Month to you. So yeah, I think it's ridiculous that people think that if you're not sexually attracted to anyone, something's wrong with you, and it really isn't. I've joined a new dating group, which is like a spiritual group, but most of them are highly sexualized, driven guys in there. I get loads of Indian guys in my inbox from it, the majority of which are not suitable. And one guy, I just couldn't be bothered to answer his questions because I just thought I don't want to waste my time. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, but like I want to know more about asexual and what it's like, the good and the bad. Like you can pretend or make yourself asexual or try it on for size. I get this type of situation all the time. Like, oh, I can be asexual. It's like you can't make yourself be asexual. You can't try it out. It's not like you're trying on a new coat and it's like I'll be asexual for today. It doesn't work like that, It's just ridiculous. And the fact this guy was in my inbox and he's going, so how do you deal with your sexual feelings then? What you meant to do? Like, like he was interested in being asexual, what the good points and bad points are, should he try to be asexual? And also, like, how do you stop the urges? It's like they just don't get it. And I thought I cannot be bothered to have a conversation with this guy because he's probably going to ask me intrusive questions about, oh, so do you masturbate then? And how do you because he was basically asking me, like, how do you control the urges and feelings? I don't get urges for sex. I don't get feelings that I want sex. This is what they don't understand. It's not asexuality is not abstaining. I'm not abstaining. I'm not repressing my urges or feelings for sex because I don't have them in the first place. And it drives me absolutely nuts that people keep asking me, guys keep asking me the same thing over and over again. It's like you're really not understanding that asexuality is a sexual orientation. It's not some lifestyle choice. And most of them think it's a lifestyle choice. And it's just so pathetic that they're not even bothering to try to understand. So I'm going to read parts of a conversation now I had with a guy earlier, which I was absolutely disgusted about on Facebook dating. I don't even know how much I'm allowed to say on this channel because it's a huge trigger warning. This is absolutely disgusting. So I don't know whether I'm gonna say the whole lot or not because it is I might have to just kind of like let your mind guess some of it. But anyway, so I was in a conversation with this guy. This is an Indian guy, 30 years old in the UK, been in the UK for 4 years, got an actual job at a company, reputable company, I might add. Right. So I didn't know he was this sexual. Right, and he lied clearly. So this is like earlier on. So he was saying, to be honest, it's the first time I have come across anyone who doesn't like sex. I am not sure if you're aware, but Indians are the ones who craves for sex. I wrote back, I'm not sure if you are aware that there are Indian asexual guys and also groups for Indian asexuals. But anyway, clearly we aren't suitable if you want sex. So I wish you the best of luck. Find the right person for you. Now, at that point, he should have gone from my life, right? He should have said, all right, thanks, bye. And he didn't. So then he came back and said, I didn't say that I want sex. I was just curious. Yes, I've always maintained a health sex life and I enjoy the company of many women, but doesn't mean I can't be with you. I said I'm looking for a monogamous guy who can live without sex, not a guy who has sex with other women. This was his reply. I said I had sex with other women. I can be asexual, but can we sleep naked, right? Or will be allowed to masturbate? So I said you can't be asexual. It's a sexual orientation, not a lifestyle. And no, I don't get naked. So then he's like, so how do you release yourself? And I said, I don't get the need, urge, or want for sex. That's the whole point of lacking sexual attraction, which is what makes me asexual. I'm not abstaining, I'm not repressing myself, as there is nothing to repress. I can kiss for hours and never want sex. Some asexuals do masturbate for various reasons. And then he said, and what if the other person has an erection while kissing you? And then kissed the whole body or just lips? Question mark. I said asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction towards someone. Doesn't mean to say they all don't enjoy masturbation, as some get aroused, but it's not aimed at anyone. I don't like being touched in sexual places. If a guy has an erection while kissing me, that's normal. I kiss with my clothes on, not off. And I usually can't sleep in the same bed as someone else. Wow, very strange. So I kiss the mouth. Do you roll your tongue inside someone else's mouth? Or what if the guy wants to kiss your body, not the sexual places? I mean, it's very difficult to kiss a body and not kiss the sexual places. I said French kissing, tongue kissing is my favorite type of kissing. So that's what I do most in terms of the kissing. But I like kissing a lot in public. So the guy is able to kiss my neck and parts of my face and hands and arms clothed. I'm a hyper romantic and hyper kisser with zero sexual attraction, no desire for sex at all. I've kissed for over 4 hours and still had no urge for sex. Most asexuals don't like much kissing, so I'm rare. Wow. I said, and then I said, yeah. And he's like, I don't mind doing that. I can be with you and do lots of public kissing. I'm a bit naughty when it comes to public kissing, or will I be allowed to touch your body? So I said, that's great to know. I think kissing in public is often a lot more exciting, but you would not live without sex forever. And I don't do temporary or short term relationships. I'm not looking for a hookup. Listen to this. Well, he says this. This is a complete lie at this point, but I didn't totally know it because he's trying to be very convincing. I am also not looking for a hookup. I am looking for stability and a change in my life. It's you who I've been waiting for. I can masturbate myself to release. I can masturbate to release myself. Don't worry about that. Will I be allowed to give you love bites? It's part of kissing segment, I guess. I'm like, well, that's interesting to know. I didn't expect you to say that. I hate biting. I don't think it's nice. And to me, that's not romantic and it's not proper kissing. I don't want a guy to touch my body in sexual places, not my bum, breast, or vagina, unless I say otherwise, but that's how it usually is. That's fine with me. I said, thanks. And then he's like, can you see me naked? If not the other way round. And clearly this guy's just so sexual. I said, I'm naked repulsed. I'm okay with seeing a guy's naked chest in private with me, but I won't be taking my clothes off, so I won't be naked. I don't like facial hair and I prefer no chest hair. That's fine. So this is when it gets really disgusting. Trigger warning. So you can't even see my dick or watch me masturbate. This is just disgusting. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested in a guy's genitalia. All this is very physical stuff you're talking about. And I think you're better off with a sexual girl because this is just not nice for me. I was just clarifying. I've never been into such arrangement. So just wanted clarifications on do's and don'ts. I said I need an intelligent guy who loves through a deep emotional connection like me. You are so sexually driven. And then he came out with the truth. I am sexually driven because that's who I am. I have been sleeping with so many women. I have even slept with my friends' wives. I like FCUKing mature women who are sexually not satisfied. Women cheat their husbands with me. That's even more satisfying to me. I dominate women, try different things on them. This just makes me sick. And to be very honest, women love that. This is what this guy is saying. It's absolutely sick. That want men can satisfy them, eat their in and out. Eat their something begin with P, meow, in and out. I can't even say it. It's disgusting. And so that is just disgusting. So he has no problem in having sex with his with his friends' wives. And he's proud of that. That's even more that's even more satisfying to him. I feel like it's a shame I can't go through his whole friends list and tell all his friends that, hey, he's been FCUKing your wives, because it's just disgusting. A guy like that just doesn't deserve to even be on a dating app. I have reported the conversation and I have deleted him, the conversation I've deleted the conversation, but not just deleted it. I actually blocked him in the conversation. On Facebook dating, there's a delete action and there's a blocking action. So instead of it's deactivating the conversation, there's quite a lot here deactivated, but I deactivated it by blocking it rather than deleting it, and I reported the conversation. But I had another guy messaging me on Indian, and he was on about connect on WhatsApp, and I'm like, I don't connect, I'm not on WhatsApp. And then I gave him my Facebook dating profile, personal profile, and he's like, oh, that looks like a business page, which my personal profile is a business style profile it's called a professional profile now on Facebook because they've changed the way they do things. On personal profile, you can have just carry on with your ordinary personal, you can get a professional personal one if you're a business person, so I just changed it into that. And so, yeah, but I told him it was my personal one, and he didn't bother to connect with me. And all he kept asking was for my phone number so he could message me. He didn't even bother to try and take the time with me. So in the end, I've just got rid of him. I've got rid of everything apart from one guy on there. All of the previous conversations with guys. I've just got one guy that matched with me that I don't know if he's going to speak to me or not. And then I've put Facebook dating for now on take a break because after that disgusting comment, I'm just absolutely fed up with disgusting comments that sexuals say to asexuals. I've had a lot of guys asking me, like, so do you masturbate? Have you had sex? Would you give me a blowjob? Would you do any type of sex? I had a guy on Badoo and he said he was submissive, but more like he was manipulative. And then he said, I told him I was asexual. I don't like sex. And then he's like, oh, I'm actually really happy you're asexual because I don't like sex and I don't like my dick being played with. And then in another conversation, he's like, oh, well, I'm interested in you so long as you spank me and put a strap on. I'm willing to change for you and be anything you want so long as you do that. I was just so manipulative and disgusting. I already told him I'm not interested in any type because I said I wasn't interested in sex, and then partway through a conversation, he's like, "Oh, does that mean any type of sex?" So clearly, the guy's not all right for me to be asexual. He clearly wants sex. I said, like, I hope you find a nice sexual girl for you or a guy. I mean, why is it asking a woman to use a strap on unless he's gay? A strap on is basically a rubber or other constituent dick that you put on a guy's backside to have sex if you're a woman, in place of another guy doing up the ass, basically. And some women, apparently, in heterosexual relationships will put a strap on so that they can put this rubber penis up the guy's bum. But, it's not something I've ever done, and I don't want a guy's thing up my bum. I've never done anything to do with a bum in my past sex life. I just wouldn't like that. And so, it's just disgusting. It's just highly manipulative. I thought, well, you're not really a submissive guy if you're expecting a woman to do as you say, and otherwise you won't be with her. That is not submissive. That's actually highly manipulative and controlling. So, I just think that's horrible, and I'm not into BDSM stuff anyway. I told him BDSM stuff scares me, and, I'm not into it, and so I just, like, despair sometimes, the amount of guys I get, saying stuff is just horrible. Heather, very gross. Yeah, it's absolutely sick. Always nice to see you, Heather. Thanks for your support. Yeah. I've just got so fed up of the dating scene. I've started my new dating relationships channel, but I still think that's good. Please subscribe if you haven't already, if you're into that type of thing, because I think it's good to give good advice. There's so many bullshit dating coaches out there, and people like who are talking a load of rubbish, and they teaching guys how to get women into bed with them and stuff like that. But I was just absolutely shocked. I was shocked at the Indian guy earlier, if you heard what I said about that, about the fact that he likes having sex with mature women who are married, especially, and his friends' wives. I mean, he is not a friend to them. He's just a sick bastard, excuse my language. But he is if he's going around doing that. And it's just like, is there no morals anywhere in the world? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even the dating group, I'm in the spiritual dating group. Um, it's bad because I've had married men, Indian men who are married, connect with me. One guy says, I think I'm the person you're looking for. I click through his profile and there's a picture. Oh, this is me and my wife, and I want to thank my wife so much for, like, how lovely she is. I'm like, you're just an effing bullshitter, mate. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. I thought about actually telling her but I don't like wrecking marriages, but I thought about actually telling her because it's disgusting that he's messaging me. He's in this dating group, and then he's messaging me saying, I think I'm the one you're looking for. And then he's actually posted a picture of him and his wife saying how great she is. But there was I did click through her profile, but there's no actual message button on there for some reason. So you couldn't message her. But I just think it's disgusting. I hate guys like that. They make me sick. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them. There's some other married men that have tried to connect with me. One guy says, oh, please check to see if I've got any past life connections with you. I mean, it doesn't matter if he had got any past life connections with me. At the end of the day, he's married. And there's other guys that are married, and it's just they're just so sick. It's like, why get married and then be after other people all the time? I don't get it. It's just like, why? It's just so immoral. I can't believe that so many guys are just so immoral and uncaring and unfeeling. Not everyone is like that, but it's very hard when you're dating. I had a video call with an Indian guy earlier, actually. So I've had two video calls with Indian guys since I've been in a spiritual dating group. One was on Friday, like through to Friday night through to Saturday, I think it was, and he said he was asexual. But the conversation was very geared towards kissing in the end when we video call. We were on audio call for a while, and then we switched to video call. But when it was video call, he was acting very sexual. And the stuff he was saying was like he wanted a sexual arousal experience with me or something. It was very weird. And it was like, and I a lot of the time I notice now guys just kind of like want sexual experiences with me, even if it's a asexual type of sexual experience. It's really weird. And so, yeah, this guy I spoke to for quite a while, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm in this country and I can move to the UK and we can be together and all the rest of it. This is just when I don't even know him. And I just thought this is probably just bullshit. So, anyway, I left the video call. I thought I probably won't hear from him, and I didn't. But I was quite glad, really, because he'd never friend requested me. If a guy doesn't friend request me on Facebook, I know they're not serious about me. Unless they've had a problem where they can't friend request me for some reason, then, it's like if you want to get intimate with me and kiss me, but you can't even be asked to connect with me on Facebook as a friend, then you've got something to hide, you're not a good person for me. So anyway, this person was like, I think he was in Denmark, if I remember, right? And he was like older, he's 38 years old, Indian guy, so it's much more out of my age range than I would usually go for. He was clean shaven though, which was nice, but long hair. But yeah, the whole conversation was very physical. And it was all to do with arousal. And he was like, "Oh, close your eyes and think of this," and like I'm thinking, "Oh my god!" It's like giving me a audio video call of stuff that aroused me or something. It's like I said, I was trying to change the conversation to like, so I want to know more about your personality. Like, what movies do you like and stuff? And you can clearly see the difference between me and him. I'm asexual because I'm trying to get off the sexual arousal stuff that he's trying to do to me, whatever he's trying to talk about. And I'm trying to get to know him as a person and his personality and about movies and stuff. And he's like, then he said, "Oh, I think talking is a prequel to kissing because he likes kissing like I did." But, and I'm thinking, well, I need talking intellectual conversation as well. But anyway, by the end of the conversation, which was a while, I thought I probably won't hear from him again. And he's like, "Oh, we can contact each other again and keep in touch." But he never bothered. And with a guy now, if a guy doesn't bother with me, that's like I'm not bothering with him. And I was quite worried about him. I was quite anxiety induced because I think I don't know that you're really asexual. I'm not saying he wasn't on the grey asexual spectrum at all, but the way he was just so geared towards physical pleasure stuff with me and talking about that all the time, and that was what the main focus was in the end. It's a high sign that he's very highly sexual, actually. It's a red flag for that. So I don't know, but I've blocked him now because I think you can't be bothered to talk to me and all you care about is the physical stuff and you're completely lying about coming over to the UK. It's just rubbish. Then, I got rid of him. And then so that was like Friday night to Saturday. And then Sunday night to Monday, yesterday, I was video calling with another Indian guy who saw me in the spiritual group. But his first message was like, "Oh, you're the one I've been waiting for." And I'm like, now that seems very familiar with a highly sexual Indian guy in the UK. So I don't know. I find it very hard to believe what this guy's saying. I did listen to him on a video call. He seemed nicer than the other Indian guy that was very focused on arousal all the time. But this guy again has a similar patterns of behavior where he ends up talking a lot about kissing me. Guys seem to get really obsessed with talking about kissing me because they know I like kissing, but it seems to be then the main focus. And I think it's just the equivalent of a sexual person talking about sex, but instead, because I like kissing so much, they seem to be very focused on kissing. And I'm glad they like kissing, these guys. I mean, that I'm talking to, because it's kind of like if they didn't like kissing, they wouldn't even be, I wouldn't even consider them for a relationship. But it's like they're not even in the UK. And I said in the spiritual group that I'm in the UK. And I was thinking, oh, there should be hopefully some Indian guys in the UK. But I'm like, no, they're all in India usually, or the majority are. And if they're not in India, they're in another country like Germany or Sweden, somewhere like that. And so, it's like, it just drives you crazy. So, this last video conversation I had with this guy, he was nicer than the previous one. He's bearded, so I said, "Unless you get rid of your beard, I could not kiss you because I'm not into kissing guys with beards. I don't find them attractive." He said he's handsome, but I'm thinking, well, I like his eyes, I like his hair, I like his nose, his mouth and teeth, but I do not like the beard at all. I don't think beards are handsome at all. I think they're disgusting. They're like a bush that's stuck to someone's face, and I really don't like it. But Heather, sometimes they pretend, which is gross. Yeah, it's really horrible that these people pretend that they can have an asexual relationship, and it's just not true. They're just complete utter liars, and it makes you not trust anyone. Like this guy who was on a video call, I actually don't trust him. Like I've told him, like I said to him, like why are you interested in me when you can have any sexual girl in the world and you're not asexual? I don't get it. It makes no sense. It's like, oh, because he said that he's an Indian guy that doesn't want marriage. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, oh, so when you posted that you didn't want marriage and kids, that resonated with me. But I mean, there's gonna be other women that don't want marriage and kids that live in the UK. But a lot of these guys like to get into the country. So I told him categorically because it's like, oh, because he said he was applied. He said he's looking to move because he's applied already for the USA, but he's turned down. But if he's turned down from the USA, I doubt he can get into the UK. Most people go to the USA because it's easier to get in there than it is the UK. And again, this guy's like, oh, if things go really well in a few months' time, I can come over to the UK. And it's just a load of rubbish, usually. And I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get attached to guys like this. I've even told him I don't want to get attached. And also, he was doing something really insensitive because I injured my ankle. It's like my ankle, my leg. My right leg's got a leg strain. It's really bad. It gets really bad pain. And I saw a paramedic a few days ago. And so I'm constantly putting ice packs on it and taking painkillers all the time. That's what he's told me I need to do, the paramedic, for 3 or 4 days. But I mean, that was on Thursday. Now it's Friday, Saturday. It's now, yeah, Friday. That was Thursday. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I should have, technically stopped it by now, but I can't because it's still exactly the same pain. It's not any better at all. And so, yeah, so I told him that I was in pain, and then he started playing around with Facebook stickers. Very immature and insensitive, really. I mean, I do play with Facebook stickers sometimes myself, and images and stuff, but not in times when someone's just said they're in pain and they're hurting, and he's meant to be having a serious conversation with me about me and him, or whatever he's like talking about. I did say something to him. I said, you're just not taking this seriously. I said, I'm in so much pain, and all you're doing is faffing around, playing with the stuff on Facebook. I said, I'm just gonna go because I'm not interested in someone doing this. It's just wasting my time. I said, you can't even take this seriously. I'm in a lot of pain, and all you can do is mess around. This guy's in his late 20s, 27. But I mean, clearly it's a bit immature behavior. I said it's in more importantly, it's insensitive. I told him it's being really insensitive. So I don't think he's gonna be the right guy. But he's all about, oh, I can stay in your home if I come to the UK. I'm like, no. And I think a lot of these guys just do this on purpose. They're like, oh, she's in the UK, I can go and live with her and have a roof over my head. It's like, no, you can't. I said to them categorically, it's single occupancy only, my flat, which is the damn truth. I've signed a contract for single occupancy only. I can't have anyone else living with me, thank God. I don't want to. Heather, I hope your ankle gets better, Sandra. Thank you. It's weird. So it's actually a strain in my leg, but it goes down to the ankle and up again. So it's like starts at my ankle and it goes all the way up my leg, but it's like really painful. And it hurts really badly. But I don't know what I've done to it. There's no swelling to it visible. There's no bruising that's visible. You can't see anything. But the pain's horrendous. It gets really bad. And so it's like one of those weird things when you can't see anything, but there's pain there and something's wrong. It's like internal damage. But it's really, really weird. But it hurts when I go up and down the stairs and stuff like that. I had to go out and do a major food shop the Sunday, so it was hurting then. But yeah, so it's just like when I'm talking about injuries or things that caused me pain, and the guy's been unempathetic, not sensitive, to me it's just a huge red flag, because it means they're not caring about me. All they're caring about is their own gratification or pleasure with what they're talking to me about in the moment. They're not actually focusing on my health and my well-being and my needs. A good guy will say, oh, I'm really sorry you're not well, and maybe offer suggestions of help, or ask if there's anything they can do from afar to help, or just be very empathetic, say, oh, I hope you get better soon and recover well soon, and things like that. But when a guy's not even doing that, it's a frigging nightmare. There is an Indian guy I found in an asexual group, but I approached him first before I went in this spiritual group, and I started talking to him. I do get on well with him, actually. And in conversations, it's different with him. He isn't doing any sexually driven stuff, and he isn't talking sexually to me at all. And he is a bit romantic though, because he gave me he started sending me photographs of himself this day. I thought that was really nice. But he sent me this sticky, this gif, it was, I think, of a cat, like caricature, stroking another cat's head while one of them's playing with a mobile phone. So basically it's like me playing with my mobile phone, him stroking my hair, a bit like a hug, like to comfort me. And I thought that's so cute and sweet. That is like an asexual guy. I just really want an asexual Indian guy. I don't really want a sexual heterosexual guy at all, because they're just all the same. They just don't understand asexuality. They think sexually. It's all about even the mouth movements. They start going like this to me when they're talking to me. And I'm just thinking, this is so sexual. You don't need to do that when you're talking about kissing. But it's just like, oh my God. And so it's very creepy and weird, and it's hard because I do love kissing so much, and I think they know that. But you know what I mean? I really need a really nice guy for me, one who's kind and caring and considerate, and who does love kissing a lot. But it's not the total main focus, they have to be intelligent. I have to have a deep emotional connection with them. It's a shame the Indian asexual guy's not in the UK, actually. He's my type, and I really like the look of him. And he's also a businessy type of guy as well. And yeah, and he's nice to talk to in message, you know? So it's a shame that he doesn't live in the UK. I've only just started talking to him though, but he seems really nice. Although he did have some women on his Facebook that put me off him initially. He had like some women who are sex women, and I'm like, why have you got that if you're asexual? And he's like, oh, it's just I've got like 5k followers and they follow me and they've tagged him in a post. But it's like I said, you should just be deleting followers or blocking them like that, and you should put your settings so they can't tag you in posts. But I don't think it's good that he's got that on his page. That did put me off him, so that is a minus to do with him actually. But actually talking to him in chat, he's nice to me. And he's like not saying sexual stuff to me, which is really good. And he's like, oh, be warned, a lot of Indian guys that say they're asexual aren't asexual, they're liars. I said, are you not really asexual? Then he goes, I am, but a lot of them aren't. They're just pretending to be. So yeah, it's really complicated and difficult when you're asexual, especially when you're hyper romantic like me. It's just very hard to find anyone for a relationship. It's just constant disgusting stuff. Like, a lot of these guys are just liars. I wish that I wasn't in contact with so many liars, because it just makes you not be able to trust any guys very easily in the end, because it's like they're nearly all the same. They're just liars. But some of them have patterns of behavior. And the last guy I video chat with, he's got some patterns of behavior that are red flag behavior. One is like when he just comes in and starts messaging you, go, oh, you're what I'm looking for. It's like, well, you don't know me. You've seen one post, because that's completely impossible to know that. And it's kind of like sweet talking me. I mean, yes, from a romantic point of view, if that was true what he said in the messages, it would be lovely. But at the end of the day, I just think it's telling me he's telling me what he thinks I want to hear. And he's trying to look for someone in the UK, probably. I don't know. And I don't know. Maybe it's a novelty to him to find someone like me who's asexual. But he said he hasn't had sex yet. He didn't use the word yet, but he says he hasn't had sex in his life. So, yeah, maybe he could live without sex. But I said, well, in India, you can't just go and have sex with someone anyway, can you? So, and he's like, oh, he said the reason he said he hasn't had a girlfriend because he's been busy working and stuff. But usually, highly sexual guys do still have sex or have a girlfriend at some point, even though they're working. So I don't know. Maybe he could be without sex, but it's probably one of those cases where it's just like, I don't know. He said he was a lonely guy. I don't know. It's hard because I believe that the guy who is actually my soulmate, I believe he can be really good on his own, but he has got a loneliness to him. But I just don't think this guy is probably that guy, because I just think he is still a little bit sexual, I think. And I just think like a guy who's coming in to say sweet talking things is just usually not actually a good guy or the right guy. It's a red flag. No one can possibly know that you're the right person for them to be with when they've only just seen one Facebook post of yours. Do you know what I mean? And, he was messing around when I was in pain, but he has got some nice aspects. Like, I felt he was a lot nicer than the other guy I talked to. And he actually he wasn't completely focused on physical stuff. So, but it still was probably more focused on physical stuff than I'd be comfortable with, really. But yeah, so he was nicer to talk to, but I just think he's just not totally telling the truth, and that he wants someone in the UK possibly to help him get in here. And I'm like, I've told him. He's like, oh, I said, I'm not interested in a guy like that. I said, a guy must find his own job if he comes to the UK, get his own place to live. It's up to him to do that. That's what a strong guy would do. A weak guy would sponge off a woman. I said, I'm not interested in guys that sponge off women. He did carry on talking to me after that. So he didn't even though I said stuff to him straight outright, he just goes, "Oh, you're misunderstanding me." But I've had Indian guys say that to me before, "You're misunderstanding." And it's like, no, I really understand you quite clearly. You're coming to use a woman in the UK. That's what you're about. I'm not saying this guy's totally about that, but he's still got some of those elements. But he seems like he genuinely possibly is wanting to move abroad. I think that bit is probably true. But I think I think he's tried to, because he said he can go anywhere really, that because he's not specifically fixed on somewhere. So he tried the USA and he didn't get in, so he could possibly get into the UK if we were still talking in a few months' time, like 7 months' time or several months' time or something. So, but I said to him, I don't want to get hurt. And he's like, I don't want to get hurt either. But I mean, I'm the one who's asexual and doesn't want sex. And he says I'm aware of that, but it's not like we're the same people, he's heterosexual as far as I know, and I'm asexual, you know what I mean? So, and he's like saying, "Oh, you're really popular with all the people you have following you." And he's like, "I'm not popular," but then he's telling me how handsome he is. It doesn't really make sense. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit contradictory. So, yeah, I don't know about him. I don't totally trust him, unfortunately. I just don't, because I think he's sexually driven to a certain extent. And that's the trouble, It's like, why can't heterosexuals just be honest? Why pursue an asexual girl if you need sex? I don't get it. I mean, I do get it from if it's a guy who wants to manipulate point of view, because it's just like they want to use you and they think that because you're asexual and can't easily get a relationship, that they make themselves available so easily to you that it means you're more likely to do anything for that person to please them and keep them because you can't get anyone else. That's the theory behind it, I think, of how these guys' psychology works, but it doesn't work on me because I'm not interested in helping a guy come to the UK whatsoever. And so usually they drift away from me quite quickly after a while of me repeatedly saying stuff like that to them, because it's like, I'm not interested. It's not a strong guy if he can't come over here of his own accord and he has to sponge off women. I want a strong guy for me, not this type of guy, And I say that. I said I need a strong, but also there's other problems with him. Like he seems to think that if he was with me, theoretically in a relationship with me in the UK, that he'd find it hard to tell his parents. And he's like, "Oh, you don't really understand Indian culture." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but I would need a strong guy. I would want his parents to know about me, not kept secret." He goes, "Oh, I might tell like brothers and sisters, plural brothers and sisters." But he told me he's only got one brother and one sister, so I don't know why he's calling them brothers and sisters. That's a red flag. And and then he's saying that basically he's trying to say that he would find it hard to tell his parents, and he hasn't said he will. And I'm not interested in this type of guy. I do see Indian guys with British women. Like there's one on Instagram. I think he's married to her and he comes from my city. And he's always posting videos and pictures of them together. So it's just a load of rubbish. She's blonde hair and pale skin, and he's with her, and they're a couple and they're happy together. He doesn't hide her from the world. Do you know what I mean? I don't want this type of guy. So, it's hard to find a really strong guy who can just tell his parents that this is the girl I like and that's it. End of story. And I need a strong guy. Like if more and more Indian guys and Pakistanis and foreign guys were stronger and stuck up to their families more and told them what they really want, I think they'd have better relationships in general, and much more healthy ones as well. But creeping around is not what I like. And so I don't want that type of life for me. I want someone who's proud to be with me and just tell his parents. Yeah, it might be more harder if they're from an Indian background, but at the end of the day, that's really not my problem. If they want to be in a relationship with me, they should act accordingly like it, not be afraid to tell their family about me, because that's just ridiculous. So yeah, I think it's difficult if you're asexual looking for a relationship. I think it's very hard. And some of the disgusting stuff they say, it's and some of it is just like totally unnecessary. It's just them trying to they act like they want to know more about asexuality, but really it's just to get an arousal experience for their own sexual gratification a lot of the time, and that's what's sickening, you know. Asexuals are beautiful people. We don't need to be used. There are thousands of asexuals around the globe. I just wish more would be out, so that we'd be out about being asexual. I'm talking about, so that we'd be able to spot them more easily and get a good relationship for ourselves. But unfortunately, the world is the way it is, and it's still very highly sexualized, and asexuality still isn't recognized as much as it should be as a genuine sexual orientation. Like, people keep thinking when you talk about it, it's a lifestyle choice, or you're suppressing your urges. I honestly do not have the urges in the first place. I just don't have them. I'm not interested in sex. I'm not interested in male genitalia. I don't know why women are so interested in male genitalia for. It just doesn't compute to me, you know? But all the disgusting conversations just make you feel sick. And it's like, have you not understood what I've said about being asexual? I don't like sex, and you're continuing to ask me. It's hard because if you did get into a relationship with someone as an asexual person, if they were heterosexual, you'd have to talk to them about more sexual stuff because they are heterosexual. But do you know what I mean? Like, when they're first talking to you and that's what they're predominantly talking to you about, usually it means they're just wanting sex out of you and not much else. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with someone. I want to say thanks for everyone for being in chat tonight. That's Anat earlier, Orlando, and Heather, as always. Thank you for your support. Love you lots. Take care, and I'll see you soon next video live stream. Good night, Heather. Happy Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our difference within it. And don't forget to grab a copy of this book on Amazon. Nice to see you, Heather. Lots of love, everyone. Take care. Bye.